Today I learned best of the week number 6. Actor Robert Pattinson dealt with an obsessed fan who had been camping outside his apartment by taking her out on a dinner date. "I just complained about everything in my life and she never came back." Nothing is more attractive than who you imagine someone is. Pessimists' fantasies will often be worse than reality, but their intrinsic negativity will lead them to fixate on the small, isolated ways their reality was somehow worse than they expected. Optimists' fantasies will always outshine reality, but their positive outlooks will predispose them to accept the differences between expectations and reality. Optimus Prime's fantasies largely focus on a unified Cybertron or Megatron's exhaust ports, depending on what time of day you catch him fantasizing. In 2012, a Burger King employee anonymously posted an image on 4chan of him putting his feet in lettuce, with the caption, "This is the lettuce you eat at Burger King." It took 20 minutes for people to track down the branch the employee worked at and contact the news. He was promptly fired. Number 15, Burger King foot lettuce. The last thing you'd want in your Burger King burger is someone's foot fungus. But as it turns out, that might be what you get. A 4chaner uploaded a photo anonymously to the site showcasing his feet in a plastic bin of lettuce, with the statement, "This is the lettuce you eat at Burger King." Admittedly, he had shoes on. But that's even worse. The post went live at 11:38 p.m. on July 16, and a mere 20 minutes later, the Burger King in question was alerted to the rogue employee. At least, I hope he's rogue. How did it happen? Well, the BK employee hadn't removed the EXIF data from the uploaded photo, which suggested the culprit was somewhere in Mayfield Heights, Ohio. This was at 11:47. 3 minutes later at 11:50, the Burger King branch address was posted with wishes of happy unemployment. 5 minutes later, the news station was contacted by another 4chaner. And 3 minutes later, at 11:58, a link was posted, BK's Tell Us About Us online forum. The foot photo, otherwise known as Exhibit A, was attached. Cleveland Scene magazine contacted the BK in question the next day. When questioned, the breakfast shift manager said, "Oh, I know who that is. He's getting fired." Mystery solved, by 4chan. Now we can all go back to eating our fast food in peace. The Sony PlayStation was never meant to be a product. It was intended to be a new console that would play exclusively Nintendo games on CDs. Instead, Nintendo backed out of the deal at the last minute. Sony went ahead and launched what would become the most successful console of all time. Fun fact, some of the early models of the original PlayStation run were sought after by audiophiles as CD players. Their DAC was far superior to that of most home market CD players at the time. I actually had one of the coveted models, a wedding gift from my wife, and once played it side by side with my 6-disc changer hooked to my Sony receiver. And guys, I gotta say, I could hear no difference at all. Tillavablout reduplication, an unwritten English rule that makes TikTok sound normal, but not tok-tick. When repeating words, the first vowel is always an I, then a or o. Chit-chat not chat-chit, ping-pong not pong-ping, etc. It's unclear why this rule exists, but it's never broken. A man from New Zealand memorized every French word in the French Scrabble dictionary and won the French Scrabble championship. He still doesn't speak any French. Basically, what he does is, he looks at word lists and looks at dictionary pages. He can conjure up the image of what he has seen. He told me that if he actually hears a word, it doesn't stick in his brain. But if he sees it once, that's enough for him to recall the image of it. I don't know if that's a photographic memory, I just think it's something that his brain chemistry allows him to do. That's insane. In 2007, Reigning Jeopardy! Champion Scott Vice purposely placed his final bet in such a way as to force the first three-way tie in the game's history. He said he knew he could have bet more and won the game, but thought it would be fun to force a tie instead. To those of you asking how he forced a tie, his two opponents each had $8,000 at the start of Final Jeopardy. Vice rightly assumed they'd both bet it all and would end up with $16,000. Vice had $13,400 and, evidently hoping for at least a two-way tie, just bet $2,600 so that he'd end up with $16,000 himself. So, forced may be a bit too strong a word, as one or both opponents might have bet less than $8,000 and or gotten Final Jeopardy wrong. But he successfully strategized the tie. Multiple Star Wars lead actors have struggled with a habit of making their own sound effects for fight scenes, to the point where multiple takes needed to be reshot because you could see the actors making lightsaber noises. Beauty and the Beast was written in 1740 as a critique of the forced marriages between 13 to 15-year-old girls to adult men common at the time. Later versions shifted the emphasis to teach young girls good manners and how to deal with the idea of marrying young and being in an arranged marriage. Neat. All the old fairy tales are grim. Pun intended. Like the ugly stepsisters in Cinderella mutilating their feet to try and fit into the glass slippers. Originally it was ver, meaning fur, and later changed to ver, meaning glass, and then being forced to dance to death in red-hot iron shoes for their duplicity. Yeah, and the prince didn't kiss Sleeping Beauty, he just saw a cute sleeping girl, raped her and walked away. Then she had twins, and when looking for her breast to feed, one of them suckled her finger and the enchanted splinter got sucked out. She somehow knows who the rapist was, and goes to his court where he is now king. The queen is furious, and demands the king cook and eat the twins, but instead he murders his wife so he can be with Sleeping Beauty. In the 1988 box office bomb Mac and Me, the wheelchair-bound lead child character was played by a real wheelchair-bound actor with spina bifida. In real life, when people asked why he was in a wheelchair, the 12-year-old would reply, "Vietnam." Now, you have a clip of your new film, Ant-Man, that you would like to show us. It isn't going to really be the clip from Mac and Me, right? Right, Paul? You always do this every time you come on the show. I promise it won't be that this time. The bezel on a dive watch only turns counterclockwise so that if the bezel is bumped accidentally during a dive it will only move in one direction, subtracting time from the dive and prompting the diver to surface early rather than staying under for too long. High-risk activities have their rules written in blood. Aviation is a clear example of this. There are so many rules now. Some that don't even make sense without context. But after what I have learned, if there is a rule in the airport/airplane, follow it because it's usually there for a very good reason. Simpsons creator Matt Groening said he was a fan of Beavis and Butthead, because the show largely took the heat off Bart Simpson being responsible for the downfall of Western civilization. Mike Judge created Beavis and Butthead to show what would happen if two teenage kids watched music videos all day. They would turn into dumb, moronic losers. And it played on MTV, which was awesome. Edit: Epstein didn't kill himself. Fresh snow absorbs sound, lowering ambient noise over a landscape because the trapped air between snowflakes attenuates vibration. That's why it gets so quiet when it snows. I grew up in South Lake Tahoe and we had huge snow come in. They would close the schools and we'd break out the sleds. It's a strange feeling at first because the snow is everywhere and you can really tell the difference in the sound. Calling out to someone, cars/trucks driving by, etc. Fresh snow with lots of tall trees is really the best.